Yeah, so we even have an option to have no SSD drive installed at all. So you can.
Hey everybody, today I'm really happy to have Wessel on from NovaCustom, who builds really awesome laptops with an emphasis on privacy, security, and customization, and he'll explain a lot more about the history and the things they do there. Some of the things we talk about are their operating system options, their Qubes compatibility, whether or not they use Coreboot, why they choose Linux, what's the most requested distro, their security model, disabling Intel management engine, as well as supply chain security, and many other topics. This is a really cool interview, and we haven't had many, if any, hardware people on yet. So it's a very interesting topic that I'm really happy to discuss with Wessel. So now to the interview. Hello, Wessel. It's really nice to have you on the channel.
Hello.
Do you mind telling me a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so my name is Wessel Klein Snakenborg. I'm the founder of NovaCustom, which is a laptop company. We provide custom laptops with a focus on repairability, but mainly on security and the protection of the privacy of the end customer.
Nice. And then NovaCustom is a new word. I didn't hear about you guys until you reached out to me. And so what does the name mean? And what are kind of the general thing? You mentioned repairability, privacy, and security. But why did you feel that a laptop company was the best way to address those things?
Yeah, so the NovaCustom can be split into two words, which is Nova, and Nova implies, well, it actually means star explosion, but it implies the the power of our computers. We only want to supply laptops that are powerful enough to work with every day. Custom speaks for itself, I think. So our laptops are custom made, which means that as a customer, you can choose the processor, you can choose how much internal memory you would like to have, what storage options you would like to have, and also we offer quite a lot of customization options.
Yeah, I think when I was going through the checkout menu, the amount was, and I think it's for people who like customization, but it was a lot. And I was like, oh, I don't even know. This isn't something I normally have to think of when I check out. Probably my favorite thing, though, is you have operating system options for people, and you pretty much have a ton of Linux distributions that people can select from. And then you can even I think you can add a custom one if people ask you for one that's not even on the list,
yeah,
right?
That's correct. So we also set up dual boot for those who would like to have both Windows and any Linux operating system. So yeah, that's all possible at us.
And you guys do custom bootloaders as well, right?
Yeah, well, custom bootloaders in this case it means that the boot startup logo can be customized. So in your case, I think we implemented the Techlore boot logo, right?
That was really cool. And then do you also do things like Coreboot? Is that stock on all your devices?
Yeah. So when the laptops arrive at our company, these are preloaded with inside firmware, which is proprietary. So what we do is we replace this firmware by open source Coreboot firmware, which allows full compatibility with most GNU Linux distributions, and also these kind of customization options. And also another big advantage of this Coreboot firmware is that it comes with a lot of security features.
Nice. And then aside from laptops, do you sell anything else at the moment, or
not at this moment? So we are looking for next year to maybe expand our product range, but we haven't made any concrete plans on this. Something that we are also looking at is AMD, so to offer laptops with AMD processors. But at this moment, well, nothing is clear yet. So I think it's in 2026 that AMD will launch something that's called AMD OpenSIL, and that's basically a framework for firmware developers, which allows us to more easily develop firmware for AMD laptops, and that's going to be an interesting thing. So we will definitely step into that once that is ready. But yeah, this is only in 2026. So.
Very cool. And so the main thing you seem to sell with these laptops, which I think maybe for our community would be the most familiar thing, is you normally ship them with Linux. So we talk a lot about why Linux might not be the most popular operating system. And one of the factors people talk about is it's never a default in the laptops that people buy. So is there a reason you all choose Linux for your devices instead of a different operating system?
Yeah, sure. And the main thing is that most Linux distributions are open source, which means that the source codes can be audited and checked. Its security can be verified and also is being verified by a lot of community members. So we kind of like this approach, and this is why we are also offering this not only for the operating system, but for the entire functionality of the laptop, which is in the firmware, in fact.
And what's the distribution that people request the most when they order?
I mean, Ubuntu is a very popular Linux distribution. Also, Linux Mint is very popular. I would say these are the best suitable for the persons who are going to start with Linux. But we are also offering our laptops with Qubes OS, which is a security-focused Linux distribution. That's a hard one, I would say, because it has a huge learning curve. But if security is your top priority, this is the best choice.
Nice. And then who is your target audience? Because it seems like there's a big variety here in kind of the operating systems and devices.
That's correct. So some of our customers just like the customization options we offer. So for example, companies who would like to have their logo engraved on the laptop lid, on the screen lid, we can provide that. We also have laser engraving machines for our keyboards. So if you would like, you can fully customize it to whatever you would like. Another target audience is people who are focused on top security. So we have a lot of customers who are working, for example, for big companies who with those needs. Also, people who just want the best protection of their privacy, and that's in fact the biggest group, I would say.
Yeah, and I guess relative to other laptop manufacturers on the market, where do you feel that yours separates itself?
Yeah, so the fact that we make our laptops compatible with Linux distributions, I think that's a huge advantage.
I guess other, I'm talking like more like Linux companies as well, like Linux laptop manufacturers.
Yeah, okay, okay, I understand. Yeah, so the security features that we offer are, I think, more comprehensive than any other Linux laptop manufacturer.
Yeah, do you mind diving into those a little bit?
Sure.
Like what goes on behind the scenes to make your devices a bit more secure?
So as we have them with Coreboot, so I don't have a list with the exact security features. I mean, we outsource this field. But I know measured boot, verified boot. Those are we have what's it called again? SMM BIOS, write protection. We are also working on Intel boot guard, which is also a platform security feature. So those kind of platform security features is something that we have, and a lot of other Linux laptop sellers do not have.
Yeah, and then I saw an option for disabling Intel Management Engine as well.
Yes.
Was that more of a security precaution, a privacy precaution?
So there's a lot of there's a lot of misunderstanding about the Intel management engine. In fact, it's some kind of sub-processor within your processor. So people are really concerned about what it exactly does, and I think that's a good thing that people um, are concerned about this, because it is fully proprietary. It has access to in fact everything of your laptop. So we have, with our Coreboot firmware distribution, possibility to disable this Intel ME in a early stage of the boot process.
Nice. And I guess, what are your personal thoughts on Intel ME? Because based on what I've seen, people are, like you said, maybe rightfully concerned about what it does. But at the end of the day, a lot of security researchers who pick it apart, they might say, yes, this opens up attack surface, but
Yeah,
it doesn't
so
seem like it's actively used for malicious purposes.
no, that's correct. But the fact that it could be used, that's the whole thing. It could be used as a, I mean, it increases the attack surface, and if you would like to reduce that, you better not have this huge attack surface to be enabled.
Got it. Do you have a general, and I don't know, I know you guys care a lot about privacy, so I don't know how much you want to get into numbers, but how many people on average do you think disable ME when they're ordering from you guys?
I think I can say that about 50% of our orders we process are with Intel ME disabled, and it's pretty easy to do this in our case, because we offer this as just as a BIOS option.
Nice. Oh, so on the laptop that you sent me to review, I can go in the BIOS and just enable it if I want to. That's cool. Very cool.
So that's one downside when you disable the Intel ME, which is that modem standby, which Intel and Microsoft are pushing, is no longer available. So you will no longer be able to suspend your laptop, but there is an option also at your laptop to force the older standard, which is the S3 suspend mode, and that would still work. But there's some additional work you would have to do to make that happen.
Got it. And yeah, I definitely have more questions about the review unit that you sent me, because it's probably pretty representative of what a lot of people would order, and I have some questions that I think maybe other people would have as well. Before we get there, I guess still on the topic of hardware and just behind the scenes stuff, do you worry about supply chain security? How do you guarantee that the devices that you're getting and that you're shipping are untampered with by third parties?
Yeah, so once these laptops come in, they are at our place, I mean, from the manufacturer. The boxes are sealed with security tape. So when we take them out, of course, to process your order, we have to install the internal memory, we have to install the SSD. So we have to open up the laptop anyway. So if there would be any tampering, that would be visible immediately, except for the laptop's firmware, but that's something we override anyway. So from our place, when we process the order and we ship it to the customer, we have an option we call it an anti-tamper solution, which means that we not only apply also such kind of security tape, but also we apply glitter substance on the screws, so that if someone would try to open it, they would have to remove this glitter substance from the screws first. We even have an option additionally to make photographs of these screws that have this glitter substance, and we can send it via proton mail to the customer, so that the customer can verify the glitter substance with the screws on the laptop he received.
Wow, no, I haven't heard of that before. That's really well done. And is that requested often?
Yes, in fact, yes. So people are worried about tampering during transit, and this is a way to mitigate that chance.
Where are you guys based out of?
We are based in the Netherlands, in Europe.
And so where are most of your orders coming from? Do you see pretty global orders?
So yeah, it used to be the Netherlands where we are located, but we have expanded to the German markets, to the French markets, and also we have an English website since 2019. Since then, a lot of international customers. Yeah, we've gained those international customers since this year, I think, or maybe previous year. We are also offering our laptops in United States dollars, and since then, in fact, the USA is our biggest market.
Wow. Wow, that's really impressive. Has it been harder to ship things overseas, or is it not too different for you guys?
No, I mean we ship with UPS, and in fact that goes pretty smooth.
Nice.
Yeah.
So moving over a little bit to the software side of things, I wanted to ask some questions about the service. So you mentioned Coreboot. So what are some of the reasons, first off, just starting, we're going to go from bottom to top here.
Sure.
We already talked about Intel ME, and then I think maybe next up is the BIOS. So what's the whole thought process behind Coreboot? Do you mind expanding about it for people who are new to this and have never heard of it before?
So yeah, if you don't mind about it, I mean, it's not very different from any other computer. I mean, the whole setup, BIOS environment is maybe a bit more basic than if you would have a laptop from HP or Lenovo, something like that. That's something I would like to highlight. It's not something that is hard to use for the customer. It just brings additional features. But I mean, if you are not interested in those features, it's not a problem.
Yeah, so what are the features and benefits that you think it provides to people? Why do you use
Yeah,
it?
so the security features, I honestly must say I do not know every detail of because we outsource this. But in fact, that's the biggest advantage. But also the laptops firmware that we offer is reproducible. So you can, if you would like, you can build the firmware by yourself. So in this way, you can verify the integrity of the boot process.
Very cool. And then you've mentioned a few times outsourcing. Are you able to expand on what that looks like and why you chose to do that?
Sure. So I'm not a developer myself, and our company is pretty small. We have 3 employees in total. Something we wanted Coreboot to enhance the security of our laptops and to provide full support for Linux. Also, we would like to have this from our side, the support for if something wouldn't be really compatible. So this is why we outsourced it to Dasharo. It's a Polish company, and they are pretty good at this firmware stuff.
And is that a common thing? I haven't heard of a company that does specifically that before.
No, so it's not at all a common thing because the common thing is that a laptop would have proprietary firmware that is
Right.
I don't know I know inside. So yeah, normally these are installed by the manufacturer, and it's seen as something that is like firmware. The word itself says that it's firm. It's not changeable, you know. But in fact, that firmware is also just software, but at a lower stage level.
Right. And then if we move up a little bit above the BIOS, then we start talking about, the operating system. And if I recall, I think you do things like you can pre-encrypt drives,
Yes.
you can choose the Linux distro, and there were a few other customization settings. But what is the overlap and why is there an overlap? Because I think a lot of people who like to customize their devices enjoy doing it themselves. But you guys offer the most amount of customization. But you also, and it's great because you take away some of that tinkering that people have to do on their ends. So do you think that in some ways a more advanced user who wants to do everything on their own, do you think that they should still do it on their own and they should set up their own
Yeah, absolutely.
Linux
So
distro?
there are customers, of course, who would like us to install the operating system uh, to set up a dual boot system. But of course, we encourage everyone to do that themselves if they are well experienced enough to do so.
Yeah, and you have an option too, if I remember correctly, that you don't ship an operating system at all with it
Yes.
as well, right? Okay, that's cool. Because I know some people, I don't know, even on my end, it was interesting booting up a device for the first time and it was already good to go with Linux. It almost felt weird because I'm so
Yeah, you still
used to
install,
having
right?
to set up Linux, and
Yeah.
I go, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so we even have an option to have no SSD drive installed at all. So you could have your SSD already from. I mean, it has to be PCIe 3 or PCIe 4. But if you have such a drive, you could order at us without a SSD storage drive. And in case of Linux, most of the times you can just plug it in and go ahead.
Nice.
That's pretty cool about Linux compared to Windows, where you have the drivers to be well. If an incorrect driver is loaded, you would have blue screens, and so that's not so much the case in Linux.
Yeah, and I think that might bring up a few questions about repairability on your devices. You said that you want them to be repairable. So what does
Yes.
that look like?
So it means that we offer a guaranteed availability of our spare parts of at least 7 years, and we offer them via our website. We also offer repair guides so that a customer can simply well do some maintenance or repairs from themselves. We also have videos, repair videos. So it's both on the software as well as on the hardware side.
Yeah, and I guess also on the support side too. I mean, it's having the resources is really important, I think, for people, and it's something that we found on our ends to be really useful because we make a lot of guides too for random things. And when I make the guides, I think this is useful for me. That's why I'm making it, but I don't know how many people are actually going to watch it. But honestly, those do really well, especially in the long run, because normally if you have an issue with something, someone else is going to have
Yeah,
an issue with
it's
something.
certainly a point that we get a lot of positive feedback on, so that's good.
It's super cool. Now, I've seen a lot of people say hardware is hard to develop. There's more overhead. You have to think about margins quite a bit more with things like hardware. You have to deal with logistics of shipping and handling. And you still have a lot of the software issues of having to manage a digital presence and a website and payment portals and all that stuff that you need to do on both ends. So what are some of the challenges of running your company? It seems like there's a lot going on.
Yeah, so we are really in the middle of everything, and what I mean by that is that the manufacturing process of the laptop itself is also something that we have outsourced. So I don't know if you know this manufacturer, which is called Qlevo. Qlevo is a ODM provider, which means that they are responsible for the design and the manufacturing process of the laptops. So we don't really have to worry about the manufacturing process. We can just order them, and we would have them 3 months later in our stock. So yeah, we just have, of course, to pick the right models because there's quite some difference in the quality per Qlevo model. So we picked the right ones, I would say, and yeah, we proceed with our product this way.
Got it. And then what would you say is like the hardest thing that you guys have to deal with consistently?
Well, the hardest thing, I'm not so well. The hardest thing I think is because we want this Dashawa Coreboot firmware on the laptops. Once we receive the laptop, you have like a brand new model, you know, with the latest processor, latest internal memory, latest SSD speeds, and so on. And just from that moment, we can normally the laptop seller would be able to ship to the customer immediately. And we don't have this because we first need to develop the Coreboot firmware for our laptops. So that's probably the hardest thing. And once we have arranged the firmware part, there is the problem that the production of the laptop itself, the production closes after, I don't know, it's like 9 or 12 months already. So then you will have new hardware, and this is actually why we have decided to not offer a new laptop series every year, but instead we switch to a model in which we offer a new laptop series every 2 years.
Nice. No, I think that's a really good decision, and honestly, especially for computers. Even with the companies notorious for releasing every year, people aren't upgrading every year anymore.
No, and I don't think it makes really sense to have a new processor available for every like 9 months or so.
Yeah.
Because the steps in between aren't that big. But if you would have it like 2 years later, it's already quite a significant a difference.
Yeah. And then I'll definitely touch on a little bit more because I want to ask about the device I have because I have some questions.
Sure.
But before we get there, you brought up the processor. So I guess a couple questions. What would AMD bring if you were to integrate AMD? Why is that advantageous to maybe Intel in your eyes? And then also, are there any plans for an ARM device someday?
So yeah, our ARM isn't something that we've planned at this moment. That's something that is very pretty much because we have to deal with the hardware that Clever is offering us. So because we have outsourced this and we are a small company, it's not feasible for us to launch a product that is out of range unless we would search for another manufacturer. But we have a really good relationship with Clevo, in fact. The other question you have is about AMD. Oh yeah. So for AMD, I think historically seen the range between I mean I don't know the exact word in English, but the bang for bucks is better for AMD hardware historically overall, I think. And also, of course, what I talked about at the beginning of our video is AMD OpenSIL that is coming in 2026, and that's definitely we want to jump in.
Yeah, at least on my end too. I can't speak for everyone, but AMD's just efficiencies overall been a lot better than Intel. So it's especially on a laptop that's a big deal.
Yes. And also, Intel is doing weird things, honestly, with version codes and so they have like this processor you have is an Intel Meteor Lake processor, which is its code name, but they're still it's not like you used to have 12th generation, 13th generation, 14th generation, but it's not really placeable anymore. What exact generation is this? It is a mess with the code names and generations, and so they're making a really mess of that.
Weird. I'm really curious to see where Intel's going to be in 5 years. They're in an interesting place right now, and they're getting really attacked at all angles on the GPU front, on the CPU front, in pretty much any other front.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. I was actually a little for context, for production, we tried using Linux for production for a long time internally at Techlore, and it was causing us a lot of issues because things like Photoshop aren't compatible. So we switched over to alternatives like the Affinity Suite as well, which also aren't compatible on Linux. And then DaVinci Resolve does have a Linux client, but it's pretty limited and isn't quite as nice as it is on other operating systems. This is all to say that we actually found Mac OS to be a decent middle ground. It's better than Windows in pretty much every possible way, but it still sacrifices some things relative to Linux, but it means we can get work done and put these videos out, which is really what's important to us.
I really hope that the Linux support for these kind of software will improve, and I think if the user base of Linux will grow, companies who are, and also other organizations who are in the development of this kind of software, that's of course going to be bring more popularity and therefore also better compatibility in the end, I hope.
I fully agree. Yeah, no, and I really hope, I think it's probably the biggest valid criticism I've seen, because a lot of things are supported on Linux, but a lot of professional software is a bit lacking.
Yeah.
But my point is, I originally got like the Intel MacBook Pro, the 29th. It was the last MacBook Pro before Apple rolled out their own chips, and I kind of hated that thing. It just wasn't like the fans would spin up. It was hot all the time. The battery life when I was video editing dropped to like an hour.
Yeah.
And I think I spent so much money on that machine. And then Apple released their new ARM chips, and I bought the base model MacBook Pro for, I was like.
Was it also on Mac OS, or did you switch to Linux on that 2019 machine?
No, it was just running Mac OS.
Okay.
And it was still a problem. But who knows? Maybe if it ran Linux, it would have been better. It couldn't have been worse in my eyes. But my point is, on the new machine, it's just been so fast. And I think anybody who's used ARM has seen how kind of insane it is. And so when I got the Intel laptop, I have this association that's not the most positive, but I've been using it and it's been perfectly fine. Like I'm running my web browser, and the one you sent me runs Qubes, and we'll talk about this more soon. And Qubes is more intensive, and it hasn't been an issue. So I have this not positive association with Intel right now.
Yeah.
Maybe Apple's fault, I don't know. But it's really nice that like I haven't been experiencing those issues right now. And either way, I do hope to one day. I know that you're a bit dependent on your suppliers, but I think seeing an ARM version and also an AMD version would be really cool as well. Though I still wouldn't get the ARM version because Linux support for ARM is a bit iffy still.
Yeah, there's some processor that's called well, I don't know how to pronounce it. RISC-V, something like that. Well, RISC-V. Yeah, that's it. So RISC-V is something that maybe is gonna be, at least I hope it's gonna make a change in the computing world. Yeah, we have used 64-bit hardware from Intel, later on AMD, since the 1980s, I think. And at some point, this has to change, in my point of view. We are not really there with a realistically good working product yet, because this RISC processor, RISC-V processor, isn't really powerful and therefore not really usable, in my opinion. But that's definitely that we think also is very interesting.
Yeah. Pivoting to the device I have, so a lot of questions are actually Qubes questions, because I've briefly played with Qubes, okay. But it was so long ago, and I'm practically a clean slate for all intents and purposes, right? They need a better DE.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm at Qubes summits, and every time I am there, I'm in discussions with those guys. Like last time we talked about, and they have listened to me actually. Last time I was there, I said we need an easy way to change the disk encryption passphrase. Oh, you can just go to the terminal. You have this and this commands. I said, yeah, okay, but people don't want to get those commands in a terminal window. They just want to do from the settings, and it's something you cannot say to developers, because their head is like, oh, but you do it easily this way. So yeah, it's always between developers and let's say the normal user. I'm in the middle of that. I heard from both sides.
Yeah, I think it's a good place to be because then you can offer good advice both directions. Um, and it allows you to, I think, see and understand both people and
Yeah,
hopefully try to make a difference both directions. But yeah, I think what was really frustrating for me, I enjoy the power it provides so far. It's super cool to, it's in a lot of ways more convenient to do certain things because you can separate tasks, you can compartmentalize things. For people new to the concept of cubes, it's not technically Linux, it's a Zen-based distribution that essentially just runs software without you really even knowing in a virtual machine. Um, so it kind of just almost automates the process of having to set up multiple browsers on a different operating system or setting up VMs. It's really well done. Um, but every step of the way, I have to read documentation.
yes,
And a
yeah,
lot of the things I felt didn't need, there was no reason they needed to have documentation in the first place. There were some very basic things that I felt they could have just made this easy to do, and the usability just wasn't a thought process, which I think is frustrating because it's a powerful tool that could be also accessible and easy to the average person. But um, yeah, so I think that's just a rant slash complaint I wanted
yeah.
to
I
get
hope,
out in the air.
I really hope one day it will be usable for everyone. So at this moment, I have to admit that Qubes OS is quite advanced, and just like you said, you will have to go through a lot of documentation stuff and all that at the first place to understand Qubes OS because that's vital to use the operating system. Yeah, but also just to do your normal stuff.
Yeah. And for the documentation's fantastic. I pretty much get all of my answers, or I get all of my questions answered through the documentation, but there were just some things that I don't think I should have had to pull up a different computer for, because I was having issues even connecting to the internet at first. Again, it was a Cubes issue. But yeah, I think it's been really interesting. Um, when you reached out originally, and I've said this in some live streams, I think, you suggested going with the 16-inch version of the laptop. And my first reaction was, no, 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 I want the 14-inch one.
Yeah,
And do you mind expanding on why that is? You explained it to me already, but I think it's probably helpful information for other people.
yeah, sure. So we have two, well, let's say two new models at this moment, which are the V54 series, our 14-inch model, and the V56 series, which is the 16-inch model. Um, and originally, the idea was to offer you the 16-inch version with Qubes OS, and it's the only laptop series we currently have with certification for Qubes OS, which ensures its compatibility. The 14-inch version is not yet Qubes OS certified, nor is it fully compatible. So yeah, this was originally the reason why we would liked to have you review the 16-inch version.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I've gotten so used to the 14-inch form factor, and so I forgot what it was like to have a 16-inch device. And it is nice at times, actually. The extra screen real estate when I'm going out has been surprisingly nice. Um, but then the portability is always a bit of the sacrifice there, and I think it comes down to personal preference. Do people prefer the 14 or 16-inch models overall?
It's really a 50-50 mix.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I didn't expect that. I feel like 16-inch is more common in the market for like PC manufacturers, so I didn't know.
No,
Yeah.
well, not from my experience. It's really a 50-50 mix. It is correct that we sell a bit more the 16-inch variant, but that's just because we have Qubes OS certification for that model.
Got it. And this is almost a troubleshooting question. I was actually trying to switch the desktop environment on Cubes because
Oh,
in
that's
my
the
eyes
hard
the
thing, I think. Yeah.
yeah, I learned very quickly it wasn't as easy as switching the desktop environment on any other uh, Linux distribution.
Yeah.
And yeah, it didn't go well. It's still running the original desktop environment after a couple hours of troubleshooting, and maybe I'm just dumb, but I feel like I did get some places, but it was never actually fully complete to the point where I felt like it was worth.
What did you try? Which desktop environment?
Well, first I tried KDE because it seemed to have the most people who have tried that, like the KDE swap.
Yeah, correct.
But I had some issues with some of the icons not appearing properly, and it was like this weird Frankenstein half 50-50 desktop environment, and I was like, this is worse. And then I tried GNOME, and I couldn't even get GNOME to do anything. GNOME is my preferred desktop environment, but yeah, no luck. So yeah, is that something you're able to customize potentially?
Not really, because I'm not a software developer, and I have contacts with the Qubes OS team, so I'm constantly pushing things that our customers are wanting from us. I haven't experienced with changing the desktop environment on Qubes OS at all. In fact, I think all documentation, everything you can find online is actually based on the pretty much default configuration, which is with XFCE.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, so I'm still looking through the device. I'm still playing around with it. I'm still trying to set up some workflows with it.
By the way, what is the reason you would like to have another desktop environment rather than XFCE or Qubes?
Visuals.
Yeah. Yeah,
mostly visuals.
So if you care about visuals, you should use Qubes OS in the first place, maybe. But yeah,
yeah. Well, it's this weird overlap, right? Because Qubes is such an interesting operating system, because on one hand, it's labeled and advertised as a hardcore security operating system.
Correct.
And if you're going with that branding, why do the visuals matter? It doesn't matter. But the more I was reading online and going through documentations and troubleshooting and going through forums, the more I realized, I don't know what the ratios are, but it seemed like almost 50-50 reading through things. There's a lot of people that didn't care about the security features. They just cared about the usability because they're able to separate work and personal life easily on their devices because everything's compartmentalized by default. And they could set up 2 different VPNs super easily. They could easily tunnel one browser one direction. And so from the usability perspective, I think those people would care about the visuals.
Yes, they would absolutely care, and that's probably what's the most discussions are within Qubes OS. So I think it is true that Qubes OS is being chosen for its security standards. I mean, that's why people choose Qubes OS in the first place. But yes, there's definitely a lot to improve within Qubes OS when it comes to usability and also the aesthetics.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. It's really cool you offer it. I've been really enjoying tinkering with it. But I do think at the end of the day, because my favorite thing about everything is the hardware itself. I mean, I'm very biased towards like the quality, I think, of Apple products in terms of at least their laptops. They're really well built. They have really nice screens, and I've been using exclusively, at least for work, like what I'm calling you on, which is a MacBook Pro, and it's a solid device. And when I switch from this to the laptop you sent me, it's not that different to me. It's really well built, and I've been really impressed. The keyboard's nice. The I/O is much better. And yeah, so I've just been impressed. It's really well built. And then I love the custom touches. I did want to ask, because there's a custom key that you designed with the Techlore logo to replace what would normally be the Windows key, I believe, on a keyboard.
Yeah. We prefer to call it super key in the Linux community.
There you go, the super key.
Yeah.
When I was doing initial research when you guys reached out, because I hadn't heard of you before you reached out to me, I went through your Reddit account and I saw a video of lasers making this design on the keyboard key. So is that how mine was done?
Yes, correct. So the keyboards can't arrive at our stock without the engraving. And this allows us to personalize the engraving fully to what the customer has chosen.
Yeah, but what are the lasers? How does that work?
Yeah, so we placed the laptop under our laser engraving machine, and it's a fiber laser, so it puts energy on the key, and this causes actually to damage the key, which results in in the engraving in what you see on your keyboard.
Yeah, it's so well done. I mean, I pulled it open and I go, is it a sticker? No, and then no, it feels like a key.
And no.
Yeah, it was, yeah. And then I sent a quick like teaser photo to our patrons and people in our Signal group. We have a little private Signal group, and they all asked, like, they couldn't figure out how it was done, or I think they asked how it was done, and I was like, I don't know. And then I eventually just stumbled on it organically through your Reddit video. It was super cool. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the initial reason we had this laser engraving machine is that we are based in Europe, and every country has another keyboard layout. So in Germany, they use another keyboard layout than in France, than in the Netherlands. Well, in the Netherlands, we use American keyboard, by the way, but a lot of Spain has another keyboard layout. Italy has another keyboard layout. So we used to have a stock with a lot of keyboards, and we wanted to go to a system that works better for us. And this is how we made the decision to have a laser engraving machine. And then I thought, like, okay, but we have this laser engraving machine, we can engrave everything we would like. So why not offering an option to customize, either only the super key you're talking about, but in fact, if you would like, you can design your whole engraving of the keyboard.
Wow, that's cool. So do you engrave the entire keyboard then?
Yeah, yes, for the ISO variant, which is the European standard. The American keyboards, they come pre-engraved. So in the American keyboard layout, we could only swap the super key and engrave that one. So that's
got it.
Yeah.
Kind of zooming out again about you as a company. I saw recently, and it's interesting because I have 2 review units from both of you sent to me at separate times, and both super cool projects. BusKill. I have a BusKill review unit as well.
Cool.
And you partnered with them.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
So I've seen that Michael Altfils is quite active in your community, if I remember that correctly. And he reached out to me because he was looking for partners who would like to sell his security product. So this is something we are offering now.
Nice. Yeah, no, it seems like a really cool product, and then we really want to lock in that review because it's been a long time, and he's been really patient on us getting that review out. So it was just a cool overlap with you too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess what's kind of the future? I know we've talked a lot about different things that you guys want to do, what you think you can and maybe can't do in at least the near future. But what's what's the future of NovaCustom in your eyes?
So we are next year going to release another firmware update. We are really focused on this firmware, as you might have noticed, but this will bring additional security features over the existing security features we are already offering, which is Intel boot card support. There are some concerns about Intel boot card because it allows to only run firmware that is signed by our firmware team, which restricts the user freedom, you could say. And this is why we are making this feature optional. We really appreciate the value of user freedom. So this is why such an option will be optional. So for next year, also, like I told you, we would like to maybe expand our product range, but this is in a really early stage. So we are just exploring the options on maybe a tablet, maybe a mobile phone. So Yeah, so we are exploring these options at the moment, and maybe we will launch something like that for next year. Qubes OS is something that is compatible with our V56 series now already, but for next year, and I think it will be around February, we will also have, well, most likely February, we will have this with the V54 series as well.
That's exciting.
Yeah, and there's also a heads firmware variant. I don't know if you've heard about that, but heads firmware is an alternative firmware version on top of Coreboot, which makes it possible to verify the entire boot integrity from the moment you're starting the laptop till the operating system is asking for the disk encryption passphrase. You can verify that whole process with a USB security device.
Wow.
So that's
I haven't heard of that before.
Yeah, that's a cool project as well, which we already have for our older model, which is the NV41 series. That one's going to be sold out soon. So we are also making this alternative heads firmware variant for the V54 and V56 series. I don't know when it will be released exactly. I hope in February, March, something like that.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, like, do we have other plans for next year? No, I think that's pretty much. Oh yeah, one more thing is the videos we offer for the repair, well, the repair videos. These are going to be expanded and completed next year as well. So at the moment we have a few missing videos. We would like to have a video of basically all internal components, and yeah, this is gonna be completed somewhere in the first quarter of next year.
Nice. No, that's really good stuff, and a lot of exciting stuff too. So I'm excited to follow you guys and the progress you make.
Cool.
I guess kind of the final few questions I like to ask people. I'm trying to do this more so to have more consistent, fun questions at the end. What's your favorite privacy or security tool?
Yeah. Well, of course, our laptop can be seen as such a privacy
That's
security.
not your own thing.
Not our own thing. Okay. So yeah, I'm thinking about operating systems. I don't know, like it's not our thing, but maybe it's tool related.
You can do operating systems are fine.
Okay, yeah. So Qubes OS is really a thing that is I'm not using yet, but really is an interesting security security tool that I think has a lot of potential. And once we have this better usability, better aesthetics of Qubes OS, I think that's going to be something that is definitely gain popularity. Also, this BusKill is pretty cool to me. I hadn't heard of BusKill yet till Michael reached out to me. So yeah, that's something I can highlight as well. I don't know. What about you? What's your
I don't know. I haven't been asked the question yet on my end. Honestly, it's really tough. I'd probably come down and just say like my end-to-end encrypted messenger. I really do like Signal. I don't know what the alternative would be with all the people I have on there, because there's so many usability features of Signal I use with them almost daily that I can't get elsewhere with still the same level of privacy and security that Signal guarantees. So yeah, I think Signal's probably my favorite. And I use a couple other messengers here and there as well, but I think it's pretty irreplaceable in my day-to-day life. So
yeah, and also maybe I don't know if you offer this, but TCP encryption for email is also pretty cool, I think.
it is. We attach it. We have a public key, but not many people use it. A lot of people use Proton now, which kind of handles the end-to-end encryption by default between Proton users.
Yeah.
But yeah, PGP is really cool as well, and I think it's a lot more open-ended and usable.
A good thing for the viewers. Sorry. A good thing for the viewers maybe to know is that if you are considering to buy a laptop from NovaCustom and you would like to reach out to us, it is possible to send us an encrypted email. It is possible to send us an email through ProtonMail, and also we have Signal. So this is something we support very much.
Very cool. No, that's super awesome. It's really cool to see when privacy-oriented services have actual ways of contacting them privately. Recently, I interviewed Dallas from Privacy Posts, and he also, I think, exclusively talks with people through Signal, and then they do their mail forwarding through Proton as well, so that you get like end-to-end encrypted mail, physical mail to your inbox, which I thought was really interesting. Most people don't care about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, there's in fact quite a risk if you send messages via email and not encrypt them. I don't think people realize that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. People have this association. There's, at least in my life, there's a lot of misconceptions behind what is secure and what isn't. So maybe some older family members of mine will say, oh no, we can't text it. People seem to know that texting isn't secure, but then they say, let's send an email instead. And to them, sending an email means I'm gonna open my Gmail account and send you my driver's license over Gmail. And I go, no.
Yeah, don't do that, please.
Yeah. Let's actually just move to a messenger, and then like an end-to-end encrypted messenger.
Even WhatsApp would be better in this case, to be honest.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Like, I know they have a bad rep. Even Telegram with secret chats. I like, anything is better than SMS or just plain email. And I'm not a fan of Telegram or WhatsApp. They're pretty low on my list of companies in general. But yeah, it's just really interesting. I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there. So hopefully companies like yourselves normalizing private and secure communication will help that out a little bit.
Yeah.
And then where can people find you?
On our website, NovaCustom.com. We also have a YouTube channel. So you can just type in NovaCustom and you will probably, I hope it will be popped up at the very top. Yeah, and if you would like to speak to me in person, the best place to do that would be maybe a Qubes OS Summit, which is every year in October, I think. And I think I will also go to FOSDEM, which is also a kind of summit for open source projects.
Nice.
It's in Belgium in February.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I know I got a lot of value and I got to ask some questions I was curious about. And I just want to thank you for putting together a really cool product.
No problem. Thank you very much as well.
And that's all I have for you guys today. I really want to thank Wessel for coming on the podcast and sharing everything about himself as well as what he's working on. But I also want to thank you all for watching, listening, learning something, and engaging with these topics. If you enjoy these kind of interviews, they are done in an unsponsored fashion. We just invite these people on. We take the time to produce these episodes for you all. It's just supposed to give you all value. And we couldn't do it without a lot of the people supporting Techlore. Techlore.tech/support has all the options listed out. We also just accept raw Monero if you just want to do a one-off tip. But either way, there are many ways to support what we're doing back here to keep up all these interviews. I've been seeing a lot of your comments and how you guys like to see some more of the companies and services behind the things that we recommend. And so, yeah, it takes a lot of time to organize these things, and you guys can directly support that and keep that going strong. So thank you all for watching, listening, supporting. And of course, the last thing is give a like or a rating wherever platform you're on. If you're on Apple Podcasts, I've been seeing some of those ratings, so please keep those up. Spotify, all that stuff helps this podcast become discoverable. So thank you all for watching again, and I'll see you next time on Techlore.